Long days and pleasant nights, fellow travelers along the path of the beam. I am known on this level of the tower as Jaime and Fuego, and if it please you, join me here for a little bit of palaver on Hail to Stephen King. Dan Rizzle, this is my twice-a-week show here on The Horror Show, and I am always very pleased to be basically, sitting down and discussing all things King with you. As you can see by all of those books beside me, he is my favorite author. If you are just randomly stumbling upon this program, and that's because I'm doing something very different as a topic, and it's one that's actually been sitting and kind of bouncing around in my head for quite a while. I've talked to different people on Twitter about this. I've had some comments here and there on the different YouTube videos. This is the 75th episode of Hail to Stephen King, by the way, so if you want to check out old reviews and, just discussion bits and countdowns and stuff like that, there's tons of that on the Stephen King themed playlist here on the Horror Show channel. But, so, as you can see by my little Link love here, or I should say The Legend of Zelda, whatever is clever. In any event, that's one of my favorite all-time series, and I am going to talk today about how I think we need some Stephen King video games. Yes, there is technically a Dark Tower kind of... It's a very strange online game that's only available on his website, which it's kind of strategy. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that because these are my dream ideas for different King properties being adapted into something. And so first and foremost, how can I not immediately talk about the Dark Tower then? And how much we need a Dark Tower series that is essentially, in my estimation, like The Legend of Zelda, or maybe something like, I think it's called The Witcher or something. I don't play a lot of new video games, but, I've seen that just anything, even that that beloved recent Lord of the Rings game that was very just running around, more combat-centric. I think this does need to have those sort of 3D adventure aspects and stuff, and it could be just, I mean, it's tough because you would really have to do, first and foremost, multiple entries. I wouldn't want like new tales told within, although maybe that could be fun if they allowed them licensed, kind of like what they did with Robin Firth and Peter David and the Dark Tower comic books. Maybe that could be cool to get a bunch of Zelda-style video games where we follow, as opposed to Link, we're following, like young Roland, and maybe he bands up with his quartet, and but lots of story-driven stuff, lots of just going into towns and meeting different characters, and picking up treasures and all kinds of stuff, finding horses. I mean, there are so many similarities with how much I adore the Zelda property by Nintendo, and how that could be factored into this in that frame of action RPG type game. I wouldn't want this to be turn-based, although I'm sure some people would want it to be. I know there's a lot of fans of the Final Fantasy approach out there. I always appreciated much more so kind of what they did. I mean, if I'm going to go back to the 16-bit days and stuff when I was first really getting into gaming after having an NES that I played a little bit, but something like Illusions of Gaia, so dope. That was Enix before they joined up with Square, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, but I think this would need to be a big, immersive 3D environment. But, for a couple other picks, you could easily do the same thing. Maybe make it the Dark Tower Universe series, and then you could do a Talisman game, which, could just be done separately in its own right. But I think with the Dark Tower license, since they both take place in the same universe, you could do something that could be just, a spin-off entry that maybe has some tie-in aspects, obviously not Roland and stuff, chiming in or whatever. But, I mean, if you see where I'm going here, whether it was the Eyes of the Dragon, or whether it was the Talisman, or if it was just the Dark Tower proper, either adapting the books, or if you were, adapting the books would be dope too, because then there would be so much more, just universe jumping and stuff, jumping into our world and jumping, back into Midworld and stuff like that. There's just so much room for this, so that's why I had to come out Roland style, guns blazing, and just drop what just seems kind of like a no-brainer to me, but hey, it's all good. So now I'm going to jump into something completely different. I am envisioning Salem's Lot, okay? Get me here. But as like a 3D hack and slash, like horror action type game, maybe kind of along the lines of like Nightmare Creatures, almost. I think that could be super dope, and you would have 3 playable characters, so you could be Callahan, you could be Ben Mears, or you could be Mark Petrie, and just make it much more action-centric. There would be some ebb and flow, you know, but that style of like a camera rotating around you, I don't even know if you would necessarily want it like much more hefty on the action than like some sort of searching and adventure approach, like, you know, storming the, you know, Marston house, or, you know, just different things like that, finding different, you know, beds of vampires. I think that would be super, super dope and very cool. Just make it very action-centric and give, you know, different powers and abilities, you know, whether you're Callahan or Mears or Petrie or whatever. I think that would be super, super rad status. Now I'm going to go more obscure, okay? Check it out. I'm envisioning The Long Walk, if anyone's familiar with The Long Walk, but do it as like a side-scroller, like kind of platformer-y thing almost, but so the camera will be constantly moving. And you'll have the ability, as you know, you'll just be like random boy. You won't be one of the boys from the actual story. You know, you can type in your own name and be whoever the hell you want. And so you'll have a button that basically lets you speed yourself up, but it'll be like one of those meters that if you're going constant speed, it'll slow down, and then you'll start to be like that trudge walk, you know? Because the idea in The Long Walk was to stay at that specific pace. And so the camera's constantly moving, you can't fall behind the camera, you know, and as your character's side scroll style is going, and he would have like the range of movement to walk up or down, almost like it's I don't know, like a battle axe or something like that. That type of side scroller approach, or like what you saw in Final Fight and Streets of Rage. But imagine the camera is just, the screen is just constantly moving and you have to keep pace, right? And so, however, there's the borders on the side, and so, you know, when you're avoiding maybe like rocks or there's like a pit somewhere or whatever, you have to stay inside the lines or else you're going to get a violation. If you slow down, you know, you get one violation and you just pop back on screen. If you get, if you fall down a hole or something, you're dead, so that's instant goner. But, you know, let's say that there's also people that if you speed up, they're boys that, you know, catch up to you, and there will be people who use their speed function to, you know, speed up and come from the behind screen and catch up with you. And what they'll try to do is just, I guess this could be kind of side scroller, you know, kind of beat 'em up type stuff, where there's boys that will try to knock you out, or, you know, just kind of like slide you out to the boundaries or something like that. So this is a game that I think it could even be like a mobile game or something, and especially with the feature film that was just announced recently, I think this would be really, really cool. That's my idea for The Long Walk. Next up, I'm going to do another Bachman property, y'all. Gotta do The Running Man as one of those first-person shooters, almost like the ones you used to play back in the arcade, where, you know, it had like the one-on-one battle mode type thing. I cannot recall the name of the damn game, but, you know, this could also be a home release, obviously, but it would be, you're going level by level by level, first-person shooter status, or maybe you could even jump to the third person and the camera would kind of follow you as you know, had the ability to do that. But, I mean, we're talking traps on every single level and one other combatant that you're deathmatching it with, and you have to go and you have to be the ultimate victor. You have to go and just tear this guy apart. This game would have to be supremely bloody. Originally I was thinking this could be like a fighting game instead, but no, it's got to have that fully immersive, like FPS like type approach, man. And this could be a totally fun property. Hell, even get Arnold to sign on for the license, and then you can have like a fully 3D Arnold like look-alike for the Ben Richards character, man. This would be dope. I'm like getting sweaty, like geeking out at the idea here. And so let's see, let's go for something else like really, really different. I'm a big fan of a novel called Joyland, which later this year is going to be celebrating its 5th anniversary. I'm going to be doing a reread review of it here on Hail to Stephen King, but I think that you could do something really fun as almost like a mystery type game, I guess, you know, where you're like going around Joyland and like the surrounding town, but very story heavy, you know, like, you meet all of these various friends and stuff like that, but make it more of the exploratory variety later on in the book, where, you know, the ghost and the mystery aspect is involved, and so collecting clues and, you know, talking to different people and things like that. I think that, you know, Joyland would work wonderfully in that sort of scenario. I don't think there would be like danger scenarios or anything like that, but just like very puzzle heavy, you know, and maybe, you know, when you're going in to explore like the haunted house and things like that, there'd be maze aspects and, you know, things of that nature. I think that this is a property that, while it's not very well known, it could really yield itself well to that particular type of gaming approach medium, okay? I've got a couple more, just 2 more in fact, but I hope you've dug some of these ideas thus far, because the next one I think could be super rad, especially with the 2nd season of this show about to hit the AT&T Audience Network. I'm talking a Mr. Mercedes, but do a Mr. Mercedes Telltale games. Yeah, baby. This could be super dope. You could either adapt book by book, which could be fun, but after I came up with the idea of doing, you know, just the Hodges stuff in this format, the more I thought about it, I was like, you know, what they could do is they could have, like, the lost cases, you know, or something like that, because if you think about it, you know, in the 2nd book, when you have the insane book collector guy getting out of prison and everything, and then just they end up getting tangled up with him when that kid finds his buried book treasure manuscripts and stuff. I mean, imagine if there were other cases of a similar, just like, imperative variety that, you know, Jerome and Holly and him had when, you know, I mean, when Brady was basically all hopped up in the institution and everything. There could be more adventures like Finders Keepers, and honestly, I am against the more, even sitting here talking about it, I'm against the, you know, directly adapting the Hodges trilogy idea. I want more lost case files of that team and just how dope that would be. Who's with me here, huh? Who likes the Telltale Walking Dead and Batman and different stuff that they've done? Okay, so here we go, guys. Here is my last idea, and I saved it for last very deliberately. You know, you gotta go in strong, go in hard, and then just finish hard, man. Hard and strong and crazy. And this is definitely one of the most hardcore franchises of all time, and so for that reason, I want NetherRealm Studios to do Stephen King combat. Yeah. Stephen King combat, y'all! Holy shizzle, you could have a vast variety of different playable characters. You've got your Carries, your Callahans, Cujo, you know, obviously Roland would be there, you know, Barlow would be there, Jack Torrance, you know, Ben Richards from Just Talking, The Running Man, you know? Pennywise obviously has to be there. You could unlock alternate costumes, and you could have, you know, both the Skarsgård and the Curry incarnations. You would have Eddie and Susanna, obviously, as playable characters, you know. Annie Wilkes would have to be in there. I would even go with, like, Rose the Hat. Yeah. From Dr. Sleep. She is Scary, the leader of the True Knot. I would even go so far as, like, let's throw in Fluffy from Creepshow. You know, that would be dope. I think Brady, even, you know, would be pretty sweet. And I'm thinking of, like, the insane, like, super attack stuff. You know, like the, I can't think of what they're called. They're the breaker or whatever attacks that you have in the most recent Mortal Kombat games, because damn it, I haven't even played those in a while, but they're the ones that basically leave you on the verge of death. It's like a super attack, essentially, and Brady would, like, you know, he would jump off screen, and then he would come in a Mercedes and just run you over, and you would have, like, a split second to jump away. You know, Pennywise would have one where he turns into something else, like a, I don't know, like a werewolf, or, you know, it's a shark or something crazy like in the books, or, you know, they could go in a spider, and I don't know if we need to see that, but, and then you could even have, like, unlockable, you know, character DLCs and stuff, and obviously if you were doing, like, a story, like Ascending Combat mode, you'd, the Shang Tsung, or, you know, Goro Shang Tsung, whatever combo, or, you know, Shao Kahn, whatever, you would have to have, unlockable after beating them, Randall Flagg, you know, the Man in Black, and the Crimson King. But I'm even thinking like a DLC where you could have additional playable characters depending on different King properties. Like, you could have one with just the kids, you know, where you add in, you know, someone like, you know, kids killing kids. It just, I know that wouldn't fly so well with people, you know, but I guess you could throw in Gage, and you could, you know, throw in Jack Sawyer, and you could throw, I mean, you know, it's just, there's a lot of ways you could go there with that. Or you could have like the Dark Tower, you know, extra character pack where you threw in Mordred and, you know, I'd say Burton Elaine and, you know, maybe even like a Balazar or like some of his henchmen or something. That would be dope, and especially if NetherRealm Studios was doing it, because they did such great work with, you know, their fighting game with all the DC dudes in it. And I don't even remember the exact title of that one, but Injustice, that's what it was, yeah. But the Mortal Kombat stuff, they've really shown that they have returned to form after Mortal Kombat Armageddon! Which was one of the darkest points in the franchise, even worse than MK4. And some would argue Mortal Kombat Trilogy, but I'd like that one because it had all the characters. And this would be like the equivalent of the Mortal Kombat Trilogy. And once again, they could start with just a few of the characters I mentioned and then slowly get to it. How flippin' cool would this be? It's never gonna happen, it's a pipe dream, but we can dream, right? And that's the type of just dream pairings and just dream things that, who knows, at this point with how big King is, maybe a game like this could actually happen because it would make so much money. Maybe somebody should just make one of those fan games like the one that had all the different horror icons that they threw online, and they've slowly fixed it up and it's gotten better and better and better. Somebody needs to get on this, even if it's not anybody official. Fans, constant readers, you need to do this shizzle. I have been Jaime and Fuego. You can find me all social media sectors, man and ladies. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, just like you see it spelled below. And yep, I do this show once again twice a week. And yes, if you haven't subscribed to the horror show here, where we do video game Let's Plays, where we do trailer reactions and reviews and convention coverage, and we consider ourselves the most prolific horror YouTube channel, but we have lots of other channels that we love and respect and recommend that you should check out as well, because we have quite the horror community here on YouTube. Lots of great peeps. And yes, ring the bell, subscribe. If you share this video, do it with the #tizzle. Hail to Stephen King. And yes, gamers and constant viewers of all varieties across the globe, I extend, until next time, a grande gracias. I hope that it is sooner rather than later. And until the Wheel of Ka comes around once more, remember, stay scared and read Stephen King. And damn it, I wish we could play him, but let's just read him and watch him until then, and keep our fingers firmly crossed, huh?